All right, we are back here on the podcast, getting ready for round two of the playoffs. The New York Knicks. They take on the Philadelphia 76ers starting tonight, when you're listening to this, here, game one at MSG. Joining you today to talk some Knicks basketball here. Well, the co-host of the Sorry to Interrupt podcast, Tom Bocchino, is back with us. Tom, welcome. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's coming on here, and gotta say it was a little perilous there for a minute with the Knicks. Like I think we all were collectively panicking when they lose back games two and three by a point each down the stretch here. But I gotta tell you, like whatever they did going from three to four, like that became a completely different basketball team from what we had watched the first three games.
Yeah, you don't see that too often in an NBA playoff series where a team just completely wakes up like in NBA finals mode like that. And they flipped the switch that I hadn't seen ever, really. I
Yeah.
mean, honestly, I mean, how many points did they win by in that final closeout game? And yeah, I on my podcast, sorry to interrupt, I kind of just said like this Knicks team, it's a slow death. They're gonna win this series, but it doesn't matter. They disappointed me, and Bridges and Cat, I was over it. I put them in a coffin. So the adjustments made were unbelievable between Cat and the rest of the defensive as well as the offensive adjustments. Unbelievable. But let me just caveat that with saying I'm not falling for the bait on the other way around quite yet, fully. I'm not fully like, oh, we're going to the finals. We're taking OKC to seven. Like, but I am much more encouraged, given what I saw. Although, as well nervous because I got to say, buddy, we're going to preview the series later. I think I'd much rather face the Celtics as of right now than the Sixers.
Yeah, I'll get to that in a minute here, but the thing was impressive here is obviously like you said, you lose game two and game three by a point each. You're looking at this going, oh boy, like are we going to,
And they were shit, though. That's the thing. They
we're
were
like
garbage in those games.
yeah, we're sitting here going, is Billy Donovan getting a phone call after this series?
Yeah. And
Like,
that fourth
yeah,
quarter was
yeah,
just abysmal, too.
yeah, it was abysmal quarter. Like Jalen Brunson couldn't get going. They were rotations were out of whack. Like there was weird stuff going on with his substitution patterns here from Mike Brown, but give them credit. They figured it out. They put on one of the biggest and most dominant displays ever seen in a closeout game in game six. And here we are.
Yeah, I mean, you can't complain. I mean, what better reassurance than beating a team by the biggest margin ever, like in playoff history? So I can't really talk shit, but that fourth quarter scared the hell out of me. Bridges, I was ready. I was like, I don't care if we fucking sent 30 picks out there. Like I would rather see anybody else but him play right now. But they even were able to get him going.
Yeah. We'll get to him in a little bit here. I want to like game six specifically, where like you turn in, they win game five emphatically at home. Okay, like Atlanta figured they're coming out, they're gonna be desperate. Like our season's on the line here. They had that 9-0 run early in the game. Like, okay, this is gonna be a nip and tuck back and forth affair all night. And then all of a sudden, like from the middle of the first quarter until about the end of the second, they go on a 63-11 run, which is something you see when Duke pays somebody to come to camera and get blown out in the building by like 100 points. So like seeing that in an NBA playoff game is absurd.
That was crazy. That was like one of those games, like you said, where a mid-major comes in and plays Duke for some bread or whatever. And they just looked like they were playing like it almost looked like Atlanta was going through a warm-up and they
Yeah.
didn't even realize the game had started. And I'd love to be a fly on the wall at what was said before that game to the Knicks because they came out like gangbusters. And again, they did it on the road too, where you think Atlanta, after coming off an L, would want to bounce back. But they just had no answers. And it was one of those ones where it was like, yeah, they had turnovers and they weren't hitting their shots, but I mean the Knicks just did everything so well.
Yeah, I mean, there's two things I know with that game. Like you knew was over at halftime. They're up by like 49 or whatever it was, and or like whatever the margin was 47 maybe. Then you get to halftime and see Shaq resuscitating the toy hawk on the table, like he like giving his last rites, and then it's bad, when At the first like third of the fourth quarter, they do an extended interview with Clyde Frazier. They have nothing to talk about with this game.
Yeah, I know. But then you're sitting there as a Knicks fan just thinking about Halliburton and how terrible this would have been. Can we just get to the fourth quarter with like a 25-point lead,
Yeah.
make it basically impossible? But we got there. And they came out hard in the third quarter, even with the starters and whatnot, and they just continued that lead. And yeah, that game was over from the tip. You can truly say that.
It was wild how that quickly that game just like unraveled.
Yeah, and it's got to give you a ton of hope as a Knicks fan. It gives me a ton of hope. But again, we're not going to fall flat on our face here. We have a huge series coming up, and this team cannot be underestimated.
Yeah, you can't hear obviously a lot going on in that series. Couple things of note with that series here is like number one, like you mentioned Mikal Bridges, and like he got himself in trouble early in that series because he wasn't effective at all. I know at the end of game two, like he doesn't drive to the basket, trying to get contact. He tries to pull up from mid range on that last possession, ends up not getting it. We see him. Mike Brown reacts and phases his minutes down. I think over the course of the series gets more Deuce McBride in there, which worked out well in that series. But like with this match against Philly, with all their wings, with Maxey, with Edgecombe, with Paul George, you need Mikal Bridges to be on track to win that series.
100,000%. He's going to be so important, especially on the defensive end, which you need to keep him engaged offensively because you did see that in the fourth quarters of games two and three that the Knicks lost. I mean, Bridges, like you said, he was scared to drive and shoot anything. It was to the point where they were putting CJ McCollum on him and just daring him to go set a screen over there for Brunson and receive the ball, and he wouldn't even do it. I was seeing Ben Simmons in Philly
Yeah.
like a couple years ago against I believe this Atlanta team when he was scared to touch the ball. But then you know what? Comes out the next two games, gets a little something, and then in game six, banged a bunch of threes. They were flowing free. Say whatever you want, if those shots mattered or not, they didn't. But I'm hoping that that was able to get him some confidence because I think much like a baseball player that you hate rooting for, sometimes his defense plays through his offense and he can kind of waver on defense when he's not involved in the offense. I would like to see him heavily involved in the offense much more so that we can get that engagement on defense.
Yeah, it's true. Definitely a very important sign for him, especially I mean that game six. He's out there longer than most of the rest of the starters. 10 of 12 from the floor, knocks down a couple of threes. Like you could see he got a little swag back at the end of that game. That was very important for him.
For sure, and we need that just because again, I know he's got this streak of Cal Ripken-esque
Yep.
streak of games played, but I mean when you're out there for an Atlanta Hawks run like he seems like he is sometimes when you don't even know he's on the floor. I mean, we need more out of him and let's just hope we can get it. And I've seen some promising signs over games 5 and 6. And then OG Anunoby's also the best forward in the NBA now. So
Yeah, OG Anunoby like somehow became the most underrated player on the Knicks.
underrated, properly rated, he's incredible. He's like one of the best forwards in the league. Like he was looking like Jaylen Brown did all season in that series.
Yeah, and everybody complains about Josh Hart in the regular season. Josh Hart in the playoffs is a very important player of that team.
That's what he's here for. I mean, and that's what I think we need to come to the realization as Knicks fans is that sometimes the regular season, and really as NBA fans in general, the league's changing, and sometimes the regular season is going to be choppy. But when you get to the playoffs, you need guys like that.
You do need guys.
Talk to like your Houston Rockets; they would have loved a guy like that.
Yeah, they certainly would have here. We'll talk on some of the other stuff around the league in a minute here. And give credit to Mike Brown too, being fluid with the rotations here, because I mean, like the fact that, like last year we were complaining about Thibodeau saying, oh, like he's only playing seven guys. You have to pull his teeth to get guys eight and nine in the rotation here. Like Mike Brown in the middle of this series, like takes Landry Shamet out of the rotation, puts Jose Alvarado back in, which is like that's ballsy to do that when a guy hasn't been playing for weeks and now he's playing big minutes in the playoffs. So he played it based on the matchup.
For sure. And you know what? Mike Brown is as much as you want to say the Knicks advanced. We were nervous about him throughout the regular season, especially towards the end there, but he made the adjustments when they needed to be made that Tibbs wouldn't have, and that's what we were complaining about and part of the biggest reason as to why Tibbs needed to go. So I mean, we can't sit here and be two-faced about it. I thought after the two games that they lost by a collective 2 points, Everything he touched, Midas touched there. I mean, we cannot talk shit about a team that just blew the doors off a team like we've never seen before right now.
Yeah. I think also too, we gotta give Cat his flowers too, because like everybody's complaining.
1000%. I don't know who got in his ear, but god damn it, finally.
I mean, you got triple doubles in two of the last three games.
Yeah, and you know what? That's something I think that can carry over as well, especially again with this Philly team with this Embiid injury and whatnot. We are going to need to play through him, and Philly's got some dogs at the guard position as well.
Yeah, they do here. Let's get to that Philly series here. Obviously, Philly wins in seven. They were down 3-1. Boston had a chance to close them out in game five, let a big second half lead slip, and then felt like Philly never let that go, basically from there on out. There was obviously no Tatum game seven for the Celtics. They go back to the regular season model, just not enough. They kept chucking threes, weren't hitting them. Now we got this rematch at Philly. 2 years ago, the Knicks win this series in six. That was big changes for both teams in that time period. I was Knicks bench has changed up a little bit. Philly has added Paul George and VJ Edgecombe in the time since here. Initial thoughts on the series?
Nervous. Embiid seems to get hurt every other play, but he gutted through it. Got to give him a shout out for finally getting through a game seven there. But I mean, this team doesn't matter. It's Maxi's team. Did you see him take that game over at the end when
Yeah.
Embiid finally got his knee? Somehow, his knee has a magnet for everybody's body that everybody. I think it got rolled up on three times, and then Maxi. I was saying it to Sean yesterday. He just put the nos on there. He was like, "Screw it. I'm just going to blow by these guys in the last 3 to 4 possessions and take this game over, and it's over." And let me tell you, I'm terrified of that happening to the Knicks because I don't think we have a player that can stay in front of this guy or Edgecombe.
No. It's a very difficult draw for the Knicks in terms of that sense here because like MB we know gave them problems 2 years ago in the playoffs, even while he was injured. But like Tyrese Max is a very tough cover for them, and like he's a little too shifty for Josh Hart. He's like OG, you might need him different places here. It feels like this is where Mikal Bridges needs to go most of the series.
1000%. I just think you're going to have to. This guy's the Energizer Bunny, too. Like, he goes for the whole game like this as well. So I just think we're going to have to throw bodies at him. Like, I think Deuce is going to be huge in this series to try and beat the hell out of him, as well as Alvarado, too. We're going to need like a minute or two of an Alvarado just poking you press as well, just to take every ounce of energy out of those two crazy athletes that they have in the backcourt. Not to mention Paul George coming off of his break, we'll call it,
It's
which,
sabbatical.
yeah, his sabbatical, which seems like it worked out for him. Honestly, NBA players take notes. The penalties for whatever you're taking there doesn't seem to matter too much, and you can take a nice little break. He looked reinvigorated. Now he had his classic. Didn't hear from him in the at the end of the third or the fourth quarter in Game Seven, but that's what Maxi's there for, and that's what Embiid's there for to have his back. Worried about him too because he's playing excellent defense as a wing, and he's putting the ball in the hole. So I mean, this team has transformed throughout the season. With I think Edgecombe being one of the best rookies in basketball, combined with being an All NBA player, taking that leap, and then this wrinkle of Embiid just giving you whatever he can is extremely scary.
Yeah, for sure. MB, you as much as like the Knick fans can't stand him obviously because of his dirty plays a couple of years ago in the playoffs here. You got to give the guy credit here because I mean the guy had an appendectomy about like what 2 weeks ago, and he's already back on the floor playing big minutes in playoff games. That's respect.
That's respect for a guy who just had that. Not to mention all the other crap that's gone on with this guy's body. I mean, is he a pain in the ass? Do you hate him on the other team? Yeah, but that was a gutty performance. I don't want to take anything away from it. Although it was round one, so
Although to be fair to him, like the Sixers do not win that series. He doesn't come back.
no doubt. I think he brought a lot of emotion and energy as well as his play. I mean, he was very impactful in the minutes he played defensively as well as on offense. I mean, he's got some kind of touch.
Yeah, he does. And important to know here with these teams, like regular season series split really doesn't matter because these teams haven't played since mid-February. A lot has changed between now and then.
100%.
So like you could throw the regular season stuff out the window. None of that matters to us right now. I think the key to this series to me is like like obviously, like can the Knicks like get like momentum for Bridges and Cat off this series and see if they can keep that going forward here. And thing two for me, like does Philly get through this series healthy? Because
Mm.
there's so many guys who get banged up so much. Like, are you telling me, like, is Joel Embiid going to get through an entire series like this as a very physical series without like getting nicked up and needing to miss a game or having minutes restricted in a game? Like, or some of these other guards going to, like deal with the physicality of Knicks? Like, can you get through this series? This is a war of attrition here. The Knicks are like, gonna bring you that junkyard dog mentality. I don't know if Philly is ready to go down to that level. Philly wants more of the run and shoot style.
Exactly. And the Knicks got to muck this up, just like they did the Celtics series last year. We got to muck it up. And I think the Knicks are going to get this one in six. I said five for the Hawks series. I think they still should have won in five. I think actually, you know what? Atlanta should get a loss taken away or a win taken away. So the Knicks did win in five after after what happened in game six. But I got the Knicks in six. Again, if I'm a Philly fan, I am very concerned about health. Given Paul George and obviously Joel Embiid's history, I would be very worried about that. From a Knicks perspective, I'm all my attention is focused on how to stop these guards.
Yeah, I think the guard is the key to the series, the Sixers here. I think like you need like probably we saw a couple of years ago, I think in game five at MSU and Tyrese Maxey just goes off down the stretch. Like
Yeah,
you need
I
to have
think
like
defensively for the Knicks, it's stop the guards, and then from an offensive perspective, it's you already said it. You know, you're gonna get Bridges, excuse me, Brunson's gonna be Brunson, Hart's gonna be Hart, and OG's gonna be OG. It's we got to see what we're gonna get out of the Big Cat and Bridges, the two most inconsistent players we have.
and Brunson was very quiet in the Hawks series because they had good perimeter defenders to throw at him and
Alexander Walker is a savage.
yeah, Alexander Walker and Jalen Johnson was on him for a little bit here. Philly's not anybody that capable defensively. I know they tried Kelly Oubre a couple of years ago, and that didn't last too long.
No, but don't listen. I mean, let's hope that Brunson gets his dubs against Maxey on that side of the floor. But don't. Maxey's a very solid defender as well. But I'm hoping Brunson can get him into a little bit of foul trouble with some of his tricks.
Yeah, and you get the tricks here. Now, like the one on the other end here is like you worry at the next year is like like MB is gonna go try and draw 7 million fouls against you, and we saw it
Yeah.
come into play a couple of times in the Philly series a couple of years ago here. Like that's the thing we worry about with Cat being in foul trouble potentially. Mitchell Robinson got to play big minutes here, like who the other defenders are, because they don't really have a third big they play regularly. It's really just those two. So
No,
maybe
I think
find out the
it's a matter of when in and you saw it even in game seven there right before Maxey decided to take over. You know, Embiid can fall in love for 3 4 minute stretches with being a perimeter player. And we just have to take advantage of that and we have to goat him into doing that. Because when he's inside the paint, that's when the game really becomes a problem. He's going to make a couple of threes here and there, but if we can keep him out on the perimeter, that's massive for the Knicks.
it is here. And I think also interesting here to see like he's already started complaining about, like he's obviously asking the Philly fans, hey, don't sell your tickets. This is MSG's a few years ago and earlier this year. We don't want that. And then the Sixers geo blocked the sale of the tickets so that like if you're in the single day tickets, unless you're in the greater Philly area, they will cancel your order and refund it if you are trying to buy tickets to those games at Xfinity. So they are worried about the Knick fan traveling.
I listen. I would hope that the Knicks would do the same in the New York at Madison Square Garden, excuse me, but I don't think we really need to.
Oh,
Listen, if you're a Knicks fan and you want to get there, you're just gonna have to pay a little extra on the the aftermarkets.
yeah. You got to hit up the SeatGeeks and the StubHubs to get your tickets if you're going to do that. You cannot buy directly from the
No
Sixers.
free plugs here though. No free plugs.
Yeah, like there are plenty of those sites out there. You can choose your favorite one and figure out which one you want to go to.
Exactly. If you're that diehard of a fan, then pay the upcharge. I am, but like I'm trying to buy a house, so.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, Tom does not have the extra expendable income to go take the trip to Philly.
And nor does Tom want to go to Philly right now, so
No.
I'll watch that comfortably from the couch, my friend.
Yeah, we will have to come from the couch here. And I do think I'm curious. And next year we see that we saw like obviously Alvarado get dusted off like in the middle of the series and have big minutes here. Like we wonder, is there anybody else you feel like that like could play a bigger role in this series than we're thinking right now?
I think Alvarado's a guy you mentioned. I think I think Alvarado, Deuce, and Shamit we're going to hear from in this series just because of the guard play versus the Hawks, where, you have more of a Jalen Johnson centric team. I know Alexander Walker won uh, whatever comeback most improved comeback player of the year, whatever the hell the name of the award is, but shit, this is just different, and they're gonna have to throw bodies on bodies at these guys. So I think you're gonna have a game from Shamit if the Knicks are gonna win this series, where maybe he has like three threes and he has a big steal or something like that. I think Deuce is gonna be heard from as well as Alvarado. I mean, Alvarado might make an impact just by going out there and getting six quick fouls and pissing Maxi off.
Yeah, I think that's certainly a fair thing to watch here. I will also throw out here as a shout, like watch out for Porty a little bit. I feel like there'll at least be one game in the series, where like Embiid's getting, picking up quick fouls on Mitch and Cat in the first half, where you need Porty to play like 5 minutes just to like get you the second half. I think he's gonna have a couple moments in the series.
For sure, yeah, I do think that is a little bit of a concern. I think there's going to be one or two games where Philly, you can see the game plan was get Embiid the ball in the paint.
Yeah, he's like tell him to go at Cat and get Cat off the floor.
Yeah, and then the other side of that coin is Cat is still Cat. Like he's still going to make like three really dumb reach fouls at a point guard running back on defense, where it's like you shouldn't even be there, dude. You should be in the paint.
Yeah. Yeah, that's for sure here. So I think we can move on to some of the other series of this round to start get some other NBA headlines here. West, not much to touch on with the two big series here. Lakers Rockets was interesting because, like, obviously, like, Durant barely plays in the series. There's all this drama about, like, why isn't he on the bench with his teammates? He claims he's doing the rehab behind the scenes. We heard now there's drama that he apparently, like, maybe he's burnering again and like ripping his teammates like on Twitter and like not doing that. It's not being discussed. Like, I feel like there's a lot of chaos here, and they almost come back in this series before the Lakers say enough and just win in six. So, a lot of drama in that Houston series for a series to start 3-0.
Yeah, a lot of drama. Seems like a lot of empty drama. I mean, this KD thing's been going on and off since the All-Star break. I think the first reports of the burnerness were happening. He's back at it again, back to his old tricks. Um, but I mean, I just think this Houston team's weird. We've seen it with Ime Udoka on the Celtics before too, where his offense can kind of get super archaic, where it felt like it was just like the Jays, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, just like, oh, go figure it out. And he was a defensive genius.
Yeah.
But I mean, at the bottom, at the end of the day, this team didn't have a point guard, and they didn't have anybody to set anybody else up for the entire season. And when you don't have that and Kevin Durant, they looked young and they looked confused. And they got wileyed out by LeBron, and he looked spry and amazing. And he could just add this to his resume.
Yep. And then you had that really crazy Minnesota Detroit series where obviously like Minnesota Denver series.
Denver series, yeah.
Yep, where you have all the injuries piling up for the Nuggets, where for the Wolves, where you lose Dante DiVincenzo for the year with the AC with the Achilles, you lose Anthony Edwards for a few weeks with a knee, but they hang on and win in six. And Jaden McDaniels is saying the Nuggets don't play defense, and that mattered.
Yeah, I mean, he figured, I don't know when he figured that out, but he definitely figured out in that last game because he tore it up. He looked like an ant. He looked like he was like, I'm just going to be ant tonight. Screw it. So he was insane. I mean, I just think that this team without Aaron Gordon is a different team. And Joker looked like, I mean, he was getting his ass kicked, getting the shit beat out of him. And towards the end of the season there, as well as in this series, like his jumper just did not look the same. It looked super flat. He looked exhausted. Maybe he just needs an. I'm hoping that he's not like a one title flash in the pan kind of guy, but maybe he just needs to spend a little bit extra time this year. He's got it now that he doesn't have these playoff runs to go through, just racing some horses and stuff, and get back healthy next year.
Yeah, they're going pretty well here. So the two other series in touch here. The Detroit Orlando series is a wild one that ends up going seven, and like I think obviously like the Franz Wagner injury changes everything for the Magic, but like once you see how they like effed up game six, like and especially the second half when they only scored 19 points and then they missed like 23 straight shots at one point. The shot chart is like insane. Like they just kept chucking threes and weren't hitting them. There's a couple of great blocks from the Pistons on that end here. Like that's a series that gets the coach fired.
Yeah, and I mean, this coach should have been probably might have gotten fired even if they won this series, just from how they came into out of the regular season and the play-in game. They looked dead, and then something came over them. Very weird with this team. I'm happy to see Detroit move on for Cade's sake, though. But I did say, I think on your pod, that it was going to be interesting to see how he would look with his stamina because they don't have another creator on that Detroit team.
No, they don't. And we saw that was an issue for most of the series.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
absolutely. Yeah.
it's just one of those things where Orlando, like once you saw how games again, you're like, there is no shot they win this game seven. Like that just like sucks your soul out.
No, yeah, that's they might as well have just canceled the game.
Yeah, they should have just mailed
They
it.
got blown out too. They lost by 20.
Yeah, not even close here. And I don't think any of us thought that Raptors Cavs was going seven. That game was going on as we're recording here, but like to me, it just again raises that question about that Cleveland group. I know you picked Cleveland to go to the finals, I think, in our on our
It
pod.
was it was a light pick. I think it was more of a like everybody's not believing in this team. I wasn't all in on this team, but I'm an idiot. What do you want me to say? James Harden's on this team, and they're down two in the first quarter.
It's just one of those
I
things, like you look at this team, and yes, they got the bounce. Like, they got the second coming of the Kawhi buzzer beater with RJ Barrett the other day. Like how this team got to 7 games and they can't score is incredible.
No, it really is because Mitchell should just be able to beat this other team on this Raptors team on his own.
And he has
And
James Harden.
but I don't know if that's a good thing anymore at this point because we are in the playoffs. But I mean, Mobley looks like a bitch straight up. Like he's getting bitched by like Jakob Poeltl,
Yeah.
and a few others in there. So I mean, I don't know. This team might have to do some soul searching and some thinking about trading some guys in the summertime.
Yeah. I mean, that's something that you look at that series, you're like we said before the playoffs, like this should have been a gentleman's sweep from the for the Cavaliers.
Yeah, I know, and this just feels like I feel stupid though because we should have known better with James Harden, where it's like I think that Cleveland's going to ultimately win because they're at home, but we should have seen this going seven just based off Harden.
Yeah, and it's incredible. Like he's always there, but he always shrinks when he gets there.
Yeah, and he does it in so many different special ways. Like sometimes he's misses every three he takes. Sometimes he has a million turnovers. Sometimes he's on the bench because he's ice cold and he's even I remember back in the day with Houston when they had that comeback and he was on the bench and Josh Smith and somebody else had to do it for him and he does it in a myriad of ways. But I guess when you've been around this long and this is like your reputation of like as being like guard Karl Malone, you've got a lot of swings at it.
Yeah, he does here. And we'll quickly kind of go around the horn the second round here, obviously, of some of these series. Go to the West first, back first here. The Thunder and the Lakers here. Like, obviously, we don't know if Luka's going to be back in this series. We're assuming at some point, maybe towards the end of it. But, like, to me, this feels like a gentleman's sweep situation for the Thunder here. Because I thought Austin Reeves didn't look great when he came back. I just don't think they had the horses, even with J Dub being down for the Thunder.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think it's going to be a 5 game series, and we probably don't see Luka unless the Lakers win one of the first 2 to 3 games.
Yeah, maybe two of them.
Yeah, I think if the Lakers are down 0-2, Luka's going 1-2-3 Cancun.
Yeah, they could just like plastic wrap and send him back to Europe to go like get more treatment next season.
Yeah, new father, enjoy it, get healthy.
Yep. The other series here, obviously the Wolves and the Spurs. Spurs win in five, even though Wemby has a concussion. They miss a game there. Like they're like this is a tough spot for Minnesota because they're just so injured. Like if they had Ant for the series, I think they had a chance to steal it. But like I don't know if they could survive long enough for Ant to get back and make a difference.
Is Ant out all 7 of this series, no matter what?
I mean, they termed him week to week. So like it's very vague. So like it's one of those things where like it depends. I'm looking at the schedule of the series right now in terms of like what the games are. We have obviously we had a game. It's basically the same as the Knicks series: Monday, Wednesday, Friday,
Mm.
Sunday, and he missed the last two of the Denver series. So like the question is here, like, is he back for game four? Like that's like your optimistic point there.
Mm. Well, if we're talking about him being not even playing the first 3 games and hoping he's back for game 4 with this San Antonio team, I don't see it going much past five. I
Yeah.
mean, especially with DiVincenzo being out and all the other injuries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No faith in McDaniels and Io DeSumo here.
No, I mean, faith in them maybe to steal a game, but no, not to repeat what we just saw in Game 7 or whatever game that was, Game 6, I think.
Yeah, it's like in that series, you want Minnesota, you want to be in this long enough for Ant to come back. Either Gobert needs to turn the clock back 5 years, take Wemby completely out of the series, or Julius Randle has to do what he's never done and basically lead the team in the playoffs.
Yeah, and the other thing is that 5 years ago, Wemby didn't even exist in this league, and at Gobert's peak, I still don't know if he could guard a Wemby to the fullest. There's not a 7'6" guy, dribble pulling up for three.
No, certainly not here. So the other series in the East, like Detroit's getting the winner of whoever comes out of this Raptors Cavs game here. Like I feel like this should be a Detroit win in like six ish. Like, does it matter if the opponent made a little short with the Raptors?
I mean, at this rate, I think these teams, it's game 7 and it's close. These teams are pretty much dead even. I think either way, it's going to go 6 just based off of the Cade still getting his legs under him. And Duran, there was some alarming things that were happening with Duran in that first
Yeah,
series.
he had a bad series that series.
Yeah, like a disappearing act.
Yeah, there were points where like Isaiah Stewart is more effective than him, and that's not good if you're the Pistons.
No, that guy, Stewart, you don't want playing more than 20 minutes a game.
Yeah, I would give a shout out to our boy Danish Jenkins though. He's having a good run in the playoffs.
For sure, for sure. I mean, but listen, this is you need your second best player to be your second best player, period.
Yeah, it's still incredible that Danish Jenkins, like undrafted out of St. John's, like signs a two-way with the Pistons. Now he's a key part, basically their sixth man in the playoffs.
I mean, you got him, and then don't forget about Champagne on the Spurs
Yeah,
as well. I don't know if he was drafted or not, but I mean, he plays big minutes for them, and he's a big, high impact player.
I think might have been like a late second at best for Champagne.
Maybe, yeah,
Because I remember Jenkins went undrafted and he signed the two-way with Detroit. Like everybody
yeah,
was very intrigued to see what happened with him, and he earned his spot. I think he got converted to a regular contract, I think, back in the middle of the season.
yeah, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, right. So, in terms of the Knicks series here, like I see his take online. I don't know if you agree with me here. Whoever comes out of this Knicks, the debate online has been okay. Knicks Sixers. This is basically the default Eastern Conference Finals. Whoever wins the series is probably going the distance. And I know we said this last year, Knicks Celtics, and then like Albert. Is this the same thing, the script here, where like whoever comes out of this series should be repping these in the finals?
Well, should and is are two different things. Should is definitely right. It sure damn feels like it. Um, but again, we said that last year. We counted out the Pacers, and look what happened.
Yeah, it took a crazy game one shot.
I don't want to relive that. Okay.
You don't want to relive that. And luckily he's not here.
No, luckily he's not. Although we did see another one with the Raptors this year.
Yeah,
With one hanging on the rim there for a long time, almost touching the ceiling and going back in. I was just happy I wasn't on the losing end of that one.
yeah, yeah. That was our old boy RJ Barrett.
Yep.
Yeah,
I'm happy for him.
yeah. I'm happy for him too. Good to see them go do that series here. This does feel like though, like the way these two are playing, they're playing far better than the teams on the other side of the bracket in the East. So like whoever gets out of this should rep the East. Again, should.
100%. Like right now, as if you ask me as a Knicks fanboy, like the Knicks are going to the finals after watching the end of that series and the adjustments that they made, and I feel like they're going to stick. But my heart's been broken many a time, and I think I'm just trying to get a little smarter.
Yeah, it's just something to keep in mind here with that. I think last thing here, we have lottery reform potentially on the table. We have
Hmm.
this new
Hmm.
3-2-1 model, which is so complicated, you need a graphic to explain it. You basically punish the teams that finish the worst records of the league because don't have as many lottery balls as the teams that miss the fourth to 10th worst records in the league. Teams in the play-in get this. There's all sorts of like stuff going on. The NBA can allegedly, change the results. They think somebody's blatantly tanking here. This again, we talked about this many times here. If you need a PhD to explain the lottery system, you've gone way too
Thank
far.
you.
If we need Steve Kornacki out here at the big board explaining to us all the permutations of the lottery, we've gone way too far.
100%. I think this truly, not even saying this as like satire or a joke, I truly think this problem could be solved at a sports bar.
Yes.
Those are the people we got to be talking to. We don't need like
I
the
mean,
people that go to MIT and skip high school at 18 years old. They should be curing fucking cancer and figuring out how to get the economy better. We don't need them to figure out the lottery. Guys like you and me can have a debate and figure that out because it just seems like, you know, you ask them like, "Hey, can you make me a sandwich?" And they're like, "Oh, well, we had to go to Mars to get the fucking cheese at this point." Like, no, just make me a goddamn ham and cheese sandwich. Like,
yeah,
the
yeah,
fuck?
yeah. It's like literally like, okay, we went to Mars for the cheese, like we go to our fancy
Like,
our greenhouse to source the tomatoes for you.
I think what Silver did was like, we're in so deep with making it complicated that let's just make it so complicated that every team's like, well, I guess all we know how to do is win at this point. Because I don't know what your goal now is to be the fourth worst team. Is
Yeah,
that the goal?
yeah, and that not only that, the West setup here with the 7-8 loser being in the play-in, like being in the lottery. It's like you might have teams just like throw that game just to get in the lottery because they figure, like it's better for us to like
Yeah.
take a whipping from the 8th seed, have like a 2% chance to get AJ DeBanza future version than
I think we need to just throw it up on a whiteboard that it's like like two questions need to be answered. What solves tanking and what makes the league more entertaining? And then like if it doesn't answer those two questions, then then you don't have an answer. And I don't see how this solution answers those two questions, honestly.
I don't either. I've said before, I think this is they're making it way too complicated. You don't need Steve Kornacki here. We don't need the MIT crew figuring this out here. This is very simple to me. We go back to 1985, where everybody has the exact same chance who misses the playoffs to be in the lottery. You have the same exact odds throughout the process here. Nope, no pick protections. So you can't,
I
say,
think that's really the crux of it, Mike. Like the more we sit here and debate this, and you said it the last time I was on your pod, like if you just eliminate pick protections, I think that solves like 75% of your issues here.
yeah, because you don't have teams like the way they're saying, well, we can't let our pick fall below 8, otherwise it goes to the Knicks, or
Exactly.
you don't have
Every team will be sitting there thinking, what happens if this is the number one overall pick, and what happens if it's a Cooper Flag type draft?
yeah. Or you have a situation with the Mavs usually where they say, we don't need to play and we have to protect our pick from going to the Knicks, and they have getting Derek Lively out of it.
Yeah, exactly. Like we don't need. Again, it's yet another situation where just like the second apron, whatever CBA they have going on now, it's just like they're trying to make it too complicated.
Yeah, they are taking it too complicated. That's my first two prongs. The third prong is, I think, if you worry about teams repeatedly going through the process of like, okay, we're gonna keep tanking to get financial pieces, you cannot pick in the top five, in the top three back to back years.
I mean, if it was that one alone, if they just said like, if they just said pick protections are no longer a thing, and if it's a first round pick, it's a first round pick, no ifs ands or buts about it, and that what you just said, I think we could just chill there for a minute and see where we go.
Yeah, because I think that they're trying to solve is the multi-year tanks where you have teams like Utah
I
trying
think
for years after years,
I think a top three pick. What was it? 3 years in a row you can't have it.
back to back years, you can't have it.
Back to back years you have it. I think that's fair.
Yeah, because
That and the other prong, I think that should be it. But it's like, oh, we got to lap all this other bullshit on top of it.
I say those two in flat odds for everybody. I think it really disincentivizes tanking for you because I think like if everybody has the same chance, whether you're the worst team in the league or the last team in the play-in, basically like in the lottery next year, I don't think it matters at that point because I think like everybody has the same, like what is it like? Let's say we'll go 16 teams are in the lottery if like we're going eventually including expansion eventually.
Hmm.
Yeah, so let's say divided by 100 by 16. 6.25% chance to get the number one pick, like for everybody.
I think that's fair. I think yeah, anybody in the lottery, like I think that's. And the other thing is when you do something like that, and you truly incentivize winning, the parity is just going to come with that automatically.
Yes. And I think the big issue is like everybody's trying too hard because, like They're saying, oh, like, the Jasmine tanking for 5 years.
Everybody's trying to outsmart it.
Yeah,
Where if you just simplify it to the point where everybody can understand it, where it's like, guys, truly, your goal is to win, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it, then everybody will refocus on that, and I think the parity follows.
my point is more like the bad teams, especially in this age when you have, a CBA is designed where nobody good gets the free agency anymore. Like everybody's either signed to extensions or traded. You have the trade market is neutered by the second apron and the CBA where like we have to do all this nonsense doing super teams I'm forming here. Like if you're like a team like a Utah or a Washington that's not a destination for like these stars, and you keep not getting the top picks in the draft, like how are you supposed to get talent?
Exactly, and that's why you end up in pure mediocrity unless you again, unless you make every single pick perfect. But then the problem with that is if you're not holding on to these guys, the guy that you picked perfectly 4 years ago is forcing his way out before you can even build a team.
My point was more like everybody's saying, like, oh, Utah's tanking multiple years. Utah, I think, had the worst odds last year when Cooper Flag was in the draft tier. If this is not shenanigans where Dallas gets rewarded by the league with like a bullshit lottery win to get Cooper Flag, or the Spurs are getting, Wemby, Stephen Castle, and Dylan Harper in 3 or 4 years, like if Utah's getting Cooper Flag, Utah's much less incentive to tank again because they have Cooper Flag. They have that player to start building around.
Yeah, no, that's another great point as well.
Yeah, because it's not like you're never going to see the Philadelphia 76ers process again. Like that will not be allowed by the league in any form. But like if you're a team like Utah and you get Cooper Flag and now okay, I got to make Cooper Flag happy because like I want him to stick around in 4 years. Time to start signing extensions. I got to start building a team around him, not just mothballing him halfway through his rookie season to get more picks.
Yeah, 100%. And that's when you'll see the smart teams really come through as well because you have to make good decisions on when you're operating like that as well unless you want to end up like Cleveland in the 2000s where they're signing like Shaq and Antoine Jameson to make LeBron happy.
Yeah, it's there's too much like shenanigans in the lie where people are questioning whether it's scripted or rigged or whatever. I mean,
How could you not? How could you not?
I mean, between Cleveland winning it 3 out of 4 years, like after LeBron leaves, between the Pelicans getting the Anthony Davis pick when the franchise is basically dead in the water, between the Cooper Flag stuff,
AD leaves and they get Zion.
between the Spurs getting the 3 picks in 4 years with Wemby and Dylan Harper and Stephen Castle, like. Again, it's like last year, particularly, when you had 4 teams who really didn't need lottery picks getting like the top 3 guys in the draft.
Yeah, I mean, something needs to change. Unfortunately, I just think the changes that they're making are going to make things more complicated and not better. I don't know if it's going to make anything worse, but the one thing I do like out of it is the no top three 2 years in a row.
Yeah. All right. And we do have a lottery coming up next week. There are 14 teams in here. So we're going to have some fun with this here. So the pick is to refresh the teams in the league. The 3 teams that have the worst chance of getting the best chance of getting the number one pick: Washington, Indiana, Brooklyn. Those are your 3 at 14%. It goes on Utah, Sacramento, Memphis, the Hawks with the Pelicans, be the Pelicans pick. Dallas, the Bulls, Milwaukee, Golden State, the Thunder via the Clippers, Miami, and Charlotte. Important to note here that Milwaukee gets the second pick, basically, of like whichever one is worse of New Orleans and theirs. We get the Clippers get a pick if it's 5-9 from the Pacers, which can't happen if Indiana falls outside that top 4.
All this chicanery, by the way, if we just get rid of these pick protections,
Yeah.
you wouldn't have to do all this bullshit.
All right. So let's go with like 2 angles here. So number one, who do you think will actually win the lottery? Then we'll go into the conspiracy route.
After last year, man, who do I think is a harder question than ever. Because you got to take into account the conspiracy theories, but I think Brooklyn's gonna win it for Shawnee. I really do. I think that they've done. I think that if they're playing it straight up this year, I think that the basketball gods are going to reward the least tanky of all the tanky teams, and that's the Brooklyn Nets.
As our friend Sean likes to say, the ethical tankers.
Yeah. Yeah, what a double entendre there. But yes, the ethical tankers, they did things the right way. They went young and made no sense. And good for them for executing on their plan. But the other one, what did you say? Like my hope pick?
I think I'll throw my regular pick here. I think this is going to be a year where like the team with the worst odds finally gets the top picks. I'm going to say Washington gets it.
Okay. All right. We'll take that. Now, listen, the team that nobody wants to get it is Oklahoma City. That would be insanity. Or Indiana. We don't want that happening.
Yeah,
Um,
Oklahoma. Imagine Oklahoma City like getting to Bansa with all like off that pick from the last remembers of the Paul George trade.
It'd be insane. I mean, I wouldn't even be shocked if they were like, yeah, we don't need, we're just gonna let, Hartenstein go after the contract's over because now we just went with Cam.
Yeah,
They could get Boozer in the top four. Like, it's a high possibility, especially if the guy from, and that's scary, the fact that they could be in the top four. But my heart pick is Golden State, just because I would like to see a Debansa or a Peterson or even a Boozer, whichever guy they decide to go with his Steph Curry. I really think like a Boozer would make such an impact on that team right off the bat, and they would be back into contendership if they make the right moves around that.
yeah, that's a good conspiracy pick, the Golden State pick. I will also throw out here conspiracy wise Milwaukee because you either give Giannis
Mhm.
a running mate or Giannis gets to get an asset to trade to get a star around Giannis, or I'll throw out here also the Chicago Bulls. This is a team in a big market,
No, that's
going
the most
aimlessly.
mediocre team. Like they are vanilla. That is the most. They're gonna get the fifth pick.
Yeah, that would be a jump for them. They were picked.
Because
They're
that's
picked.
the way things go for them. They fall right outside of the best.
Yeah, like one thing I say for sure, there is no shot in hell Sacramento gets the top pick.
No, you can't. You can't do that. You can't do that. You can't let that owner. You can't let Vladdy have that. And plus, but you know what? They'll figure out a way to screw it up anyways. They'll draft some guy, some foreign guy we've never heard of.
Yeah, like I can just can you like I think the drama scenario here is like we're halfway through the recording, like through the lottery on Sunday afternoon, and like Oklahoma City's in the top four. Like, wait, what?
You know it's coming too.
Yeah.
You know it's coming, man.
I,
That's
it's
the only part of the thing that's going to make it exciting because it's disgusting while also exciting.
Yeah, you can just imagine the scenario here is like the top four like teams, like if we go to the commercial break, Oklahoma City via the Clippers, Golden State, like the Nets
And
and
Indiana,
Dallas.
Dallas, yeah. Oh my God. That if I'm not don't ever I'm not doing NBA anymore if Dallas wins again.
Yeah, Dallas because Keith ain't rewarded for giving the Lakers Luka flag.
Exactly. Or Luca, you mean. Yeah.
Luka Doncic, and they get Cooper Flag, and then potentially like the Banter Darren Peterson.
Ugh. Then I'm done.
Yeah, then he's retiring from the NBA.
Yes, I will.
All right, Tom. Thanks for all the time. Really appreciate it. If you want to follow you guys on social media, keep up with your pod. How can you do that?
Follow us on Twitter at Sorry Sports, TikTok, Sorry_Sports, and the Sorry to Interrupt podcast. I think wherever you can find them, Spotify, whatever.
Yeah, all your favorite podcast platforms. He's there
Absolutely.
with Sean and their cast of characters who are filling out these million episodes they put out a week.
Absolutely. We're about to do hockey in a couple of minutes.